On today's first rodeo experience, episode 2, the first one with a guest, today we are joined by Thomas Molloy. He is the leading trainer for First Rodeo Racing. He trained the Thunderer, got us 2 wins earlier this year. We have a great conversation with Tom about his upbringing in Ireland, how he got started within horses themselves, from learning how to ride at 9 years old to being a professional jockey in Ireland and England, to training in Dubai, to America, and everything in between. So we hope you enjoy this wonderful conversation with Thomas Molloy. All right, we're welcoming the first guest to the first rodeo experience here. I feel like just calling him the trainer for first rodeo would be a bit of an understatement. He's part trainer, part advisor, part everything. Kind of held our hand through a lot of things to start here. So I'd like to thank Tom Molloy here for hopping on with us. How's it going, Tom?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course, of course. So you got myself and Brian here. You've taught us a bunch so far about this game, and you were instrumental in the first claim, and we hope to keep it rolling from here on out. We kind of wanted to dig into your backstory, kind of how you got into horse racing, and how you got to America and all that. So I guess to start, was it always horses for you, or kind of what got you started with horses?
No, it was always horses. Growing up in a little town in Ireland, there wasn't a whole lot going on. Either it was sports or horses, and I obviously wasn't too good at the sport, so horses took control of that. Funny story, I rode some donkeys and some neighbours' horses sometimes, but I was passing a riding school on my 9th birthday, and I asked my mother could I go in for a lesson, and ever since that day I haven't missed a day being around horses or riding horses. So it's been a while, but that was the day that it really took hold of me.
So 25 years plus then.
Yeah.
You've been with horses, and that's pretty amazing. I mean, I guess like what sports did you even try? I mean, like you were you were
Well, we have Gaelic football and hurling and rugby. I played a little bit of rugby. I was pretty good at rugby, but the Gaelic football and hurling it just wasn't for me. Once the horses took over, everything else got thrown out the window. Really.
amazing. Hurling, that's an interesting one. I think I saw like some clips. It's like part lacrosse, part soccer, part football.
Right. It's a bit of everything. Hurling's unique in itself for sure. But yeah, I would put it towards lacrosse. It's basically a leather ball, slitter as we call it, and a hurley, and a wooden paddle, and some tough guys with very little padding or anything, and definitely a very physical sport.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. All right, so 9 years old, we get your first riding lesson. I guess from there to when you were riding, you mentioned was the Grand National, the big event for
Yeah.
the jumpers over there. Kind of take us through kind of you got from your first riding lesson to professional jockey.
So started learning how to ride properly. Went from 9, got lessons every week, and it went from once a week lessons to going there on weekends, working at the riding school for free lessons, to being there doing summer camps and things like that. Fast forward, I did show jumping and cross country, pony clubs. So I did a lot of show jumping and stuff uh, until I was 13, 14, and then I got introduced to racehorses at that time. Um, a relation to families was training some horses, so I went there and sat on one or two. First racehorse I ever rode, she ran off with me probably for 2 miles, and completely different kettle of fish compared to show jumping. But look, show jumping had a very good grounding on me. They're teaching me how to ride properly. I was very lucky. Mill Road Riding School, I'll give them a shout out there in the Southside Thurles and Tipperary. They were great. Tomas and his family. They looked after me, taught me very well, gave me great grounding. And then I graduated away from the show jumping because it's very expensive in Ireland. You got to have a massive amount of support to be a show jumper in Ireland. I didn't have that support from family and the guys there, absolutely. But as the horses come, very difficult to go up and climb the ladder there. So went into horse racing. Andrew Slattery and his family helped me out. Started riding there before school, before secondary school, every morning. Got the bug with that. Loved it. I did a bit of pony racing when I got capable enough to control them. That was fun. I only rode one winner in the pony racing from 2 or 3 seasons riding, and that was at Dingle, which is basically Saratoga of pony racing. So I only managed to get one winner, but it was in a great place to get it. And then once I turned 15, I attended the Racing Academy and Centre of Education in Kildare in Ireland. It's a school that you basically do your mid exams, and you get education academically and equine. So you get certified in horse care and health, and then obviously fitness wise, you do PT, and you learn a lot there. That's 10 months of a course, and then in that time, obviously you start from the ground up there as well. You go back to basics in that school called RACE, RACE, and you go there and you get appointed to a trainer during your mornings to a racehorse trainer on the Curragh in Kildare in Ireland. I was appointed to Christy Roach, who was a very good flat jockey. He got Aidan O'Brien's first group winner, I believe. He was also a previous first jockey to Jim Bulger. Rode all around the world. Rode in Kentucky Derby in 1992, I believe. Great guy, very shrewd at his game. He actually trained steeplechase horses, which was very odd for me. But he, from his background, it was great for me. I really enjoyed working for him, and he really took me under his wing and put me in good positions to learn off the senior members of staff and himself to learn from there. So that was 10 months. Then requested to be sent to Jim Bulger's in County Carlow. I was in actually Kilkenny, Cullen County, and he's renowned for mentoring a lot of very good jockeys, flat and steeplechase jockeys, and obviously renowned for being a very good racehorse trainer himself. That I was just shy of 17, I believe, when I went there. And that is a school, basically a boarding school, horsemen, horse trainer, horse jockeys, grooms, you name it. You learn a lot there. I went there still very green, very young. I never forget the first day my father dropped me off there. The drive there was a bit intense. I wasn't too sure what I was walking into, but again, big school. The gloves were off, and you go in and you jump into a full functional racehorse yard that has over 100 horses. There was no time to waste. So you jumped in there, and you jumped into the program very quickly. Was probably the youngest guy there at the time for a couple of months. Everyone else had moved on to their next careers or next yards. And I was there, so I was riding a lot of horses every day. Jim's very particular how his horses are ridden in the mornings. So that, it took a while to get into his groove, and then it went pretty smoothly from there. It's a lot of work. You learned a lot, how things should be done in the correct way, and that's the only way to do it. So you learned a lot there. I worked. I turned 17, got my jockey's license. I'm sure it was the fall of 2003 or 2004. And then I actually had my first race for Jim. No, I did not. I had my first ride ever on the racetrack for a guy called Brian Nolan, who trains not too far from Jim Bulgers, who's a very dear friend of mine, and also a guy who really took father figure to me, because being a young guy up there, shy of 17, surrounded by grown men with families, you kind of get left on your own. Again, no car, no ways of transport, and living in a hostel. He was very kind to me, took me under his wing, and helped me with my race riding and preparing me for my first ride, and things like that. And I rode with a horse for him. I think it was in Thurles, probably no home track. No success, but a great experience. It was actually a steeplechase race. It was over hurdles, my first ride, so good to get that. And then fast forward, I had a couple of rides in the flat, and then I had a ride for Jim Bulger over jumps in Limerick. I was 17. It was my first ever winner as a jockey. That was great. Um, he doesn't really particularly train steeplechase horses, but there was a horse there called Dante Cat. He's actually USA bred, tail of the cat. He'd won over 5 furlongs as 2-year-old, and he was a big chestnut horse with a white blaze. He was a character, and so we schooled him over some hurdles and things at home, and he really enjoyed it. So we took a chance, and Jim let me ride him, and he won Limerick. Limerick. So that was great, over 2 miles. So that was fantastic. And then I picked up some momentum from there, and rode a couple of winners in the flat for Jim, a couple of winners for Owen Griffin. Just making your way through, obviously working every day in gyms, and picking up some rides as I went along. I rode 13 winners in Ireland, 13 or 15 winners in Ireland. So I spent 4 years with Jim Bulger, riding some winners, rode in the Curragh, Leopardstown, top tier tracks, got a lot of experience, the managing of yards as well. It was very much hands on. And then when I turned 19 that summer, 2005, I believe, 2006, I thought about moving uh, from the flat yard to, I was a little heavy for a flat, so I was going to go full time steeplechase. And I thought about it for a while, staying in Ireland, and then I thought there might be more opportunities in England. So I reached out to Philip Hobbs. He trains in Somerset. Again, a guy who's been training for years, since the 70s. Trained every top steeplechase race winner in Britain. He was very, very professional, very kind on the phone. So he agreed to take me on, take a chance with me. I was very grateful for that. So the November of my 19th year, I got on the ferry and headed over to Somerset in south of England. Again, new being in England before, I never worked in a racing yard there. Things are a little different. They're a little more gentlemanlike, as in your instructions how to do things, and how they like to be done. So I went there, joined him. I was a number there. There's many jockeys and very good riders, very good horsemen. Um, Johnson White, who's still his assistant slash part trainer now, I think joint trainer now. He was a great help to me too, and obviously Sarah and all Philip House's family. They were great. I was in with a bunch of guys my own age, very good riders. The tables were turned on me to improve and show what I could do. So I got lucky enough to get the best jockey's agent at the time, David Roberts. He was happy to take me on, look after my rides. Um, so that went on there. I had my first ride, I think December or early the next year in Wetherby. That was a winner, which is great. And then it was just basically waiting my turn to get some decent rides out of Mr. Hobbs and surrounding trainers. I then spent 2 years with Philip Hobbs, rode some winners, and then I went and joined Nigel Twiston Davis in the Cotswolds, so Midlands of England, to be third jockey. behind Paddy Brennan and David England. So that went well. Went there again, new pastures, got some good experience. He runs a lot of horses, did a lot of schooling, a lot of rides. Got lucky enough to get on some nice horses, rode some nice winners. And then I was there a few years, and a horse called Ollie McGurn, who had been running in some decent races, was becoming of age to go in the Grand National, and his handicap mark, as they use over there, was high enough to get in. So I'd ridden quite a few winners, and I didn't get to ride the horse the first time he ran in 2009. I didn't get to ride the horse in the Grand National. Sam Whaley Cohen, another jockey, rode him, and actually he fell at the second fence, so I didn't miss much. But fast forward 12 months, I'd ridden a nice horse called Clerk's Choice. He was a ex-flat horse going hurdling. I'd won 3 or 4 races on him, and I rode him in Cheltenham in the champion hurdle. He finished 6th. So that was a bit of a boost for me to get the ride on Ollie McGurn that year, going into April in Aintree. And I was obviously Philip Nigel Davis had a lot of runners in the race. I was able to pick up the mount again. It was like being in a fog that day. You walk into the races, and the atmosphere is unbelievable. You go out to the track, you see the fences you're going to take on, and then there's 40 guys getting ready to go to this race. It's quite, you just kind of in your own zone. You go out there and get your picture taken with all these great jockeys around you. You kind of just mold in there, trying not to be in anyone's way. And then you go to the paddock and everyone's hyped, it's like probably being, I'm sure you can compare it to someone having their first runner in the Derby, over here, Kentucky Derby. Just like everyone thinks they have a chance, everyone believes this is the day they're going to, this is the day, this is the race. See, that transfers to the jockey too. So, and then you get up on your horse, the crowds are all around you, you head out to the track and head to the start, and it's, believe me, it's I'm sure it's like any professional athlete, everything is blocked out. You're just zoned into what you need to do, and then you line up with 40 guys and head down to these 5.5 foot fences and 4 foot wide, and hopefully you get to the other side. It's a unique race. It's the pinnacle of it all, so it's fantastic. Um, so the 2 more years race riding, not so much. They had a good year the following year, and then it tapered off. Believe it or not, very good jockeys improve. Obviously, horses help with that stuff, but great jockeys improve. And, I wasn't improving, so I decided in 2013, 2004, 2013, that was it for me. Hung up the race riding, and I reached out to uh, pondered for a few months, and what I was going to do was stay in England and work for somebody. And then I got an opportunity to go to Dubai to work for like Dubai Stables. Shadwell trainer is John Hyde, a guy from Cork. He'd done a lot of time in California. Great guy. Helped me out a bunch. Took a chance. Took me out there the first season, and got the lay of the land. Rode horses for him and worked with him pretty well. And then the following season, he offered me a assistant trainer job out there. First time I've been probably away from riding horses consecutively. I was on the ground. I was in charge of the rehabilitation and the treadmill, and taking full control of two barns. So that was thrown in the deep end. Really, really enjoyed it. I kind of found like I was something that I really was in love with more. I love riding horses, but I was in love with being able to manage horses, manage people, and being having things done, and the horses benefit obviously. Um, and then that time there, I was talking to him about America. 2014. That was early 2014. I was talking to him about I'd like to go to America and see what it's like. I'd been here on vacation, things I'd always like to come out here and see what the racing's like. So 2014, he put me in touch with Brendan Walsh. Everyone knows him now. He's at the top end of the trainers' rankings here in America. I got in touch with Brendan, and came out here 2014 to Louisville, and that was it really. I landed here again. He was first time he was splitting up his strings. I worked directly with him for many years at the sports spectrum at Churchill until he moved his string to Churchill in 2018, I believe. So I've been here since 2014, worked alongside him until 2021. Many great horses, good experiences, been all around the country running horses, a lot of work, a lot of experience, obviously staff, horses, races, you name it. It's full on. It's a great industry to be in. You're learning every day. I learned a lot. I'm still learning. Um, but my time with Brendan, I learned a lot because he basically helped me grow to be in charge, and not micromanaged, and helped, and so he could go on. Obviously, spend a couple of days a week in each farm. That's the way it progressed till 2021 when I got offered a position to go to Qatar to train privately for a client, a friend of mine called Jamie Lloyd, who I'd met previously in my time in England, who also trained in California for a couple of years. Great guy, him and Roz, Jamie and Roz were great people, family. They were in Warwickshire now in England, and they were great help. And he reached out to me during my time there uh, that summer 2021. So at the end of 2021, we agreed to go out to Qatar for a couple of months and see what it was like, and and took that position. Went there for ended up being only 9 months, 9 or 10 months. The stable was small, and long story short, it was just something that they weren't interested in investing heavily in. That was closed, and I was offered a position to stay there. But I always longed for coming back here, so I came back here after 10 months. I wanted to get back here to American train horses. So when I got back here, 2000 in November 2002, again started up my own stable again, and fast forward here we are, 2024. We've had 36 runners, 6 winners, and 6 seconds, and over a quarter million in purse money, and we're still growing, trying to get the numbers, and I do. I ride all the horses myself in the mornings. I've got some help. I've got some great help, but that's one thing about me. I'm able to put out the middlemen and put the finger on the issues, what's going on with the horses from my experience myself every morning. So I do like the way the numbers are at the moment because I'm able to do that. It takes away the problem of having a race or two. I'm able to well trying to hunt them in the right races from the get go, books they need and etc. But yeah, that's where we're at, guys.
Amazing story, kind of all around the world. I guess like quick question there is like, do you? And I know like we talked about this before in terms of like the number that like you're kind of after, like number head you have in your barn. Like, is there a particular number you think that's like a sweet spot? And like, I guess like, is your ultimate goal to kind of have you know multiple barns across the country, or do you prefer kind of a smaller regional play, like regional, like having one barn you kind of
It all depends on, and one thing I did learn working with Brendan, you hire the best people possible. If you can hire people that have the same mindset as yourself and the work ethic, and you can manage multiple barns across the country. Brad Cox, Steve Asmussen, Brendan Walsh, them guys are able to do that because they do hire the best people. I'm not opposed to having that, but as a growing barn, So I always say 10 or 12 at the moment. I'm able to do myself right every day, 10 or 12 myself, and manage that. And then once you grow, you add staff, you add to your team. You'd love to have 25, 30 horses here to stay in Kentucky. But, they also have to fit, in the state you're in. Obviously, why Steve Asmussen does so well, he's able to ship these horses to certain states where they belong, you know, and where they're very competitive in each race they're running in. So you got to keep that in mind also. We're very lucky in Kentucky. We're surrounded by some good tracks like Horseshoe, Indiana, and Belterra Park. You can send horses there to run and be competitive, which is great. But like you say, you take it step by step, and you'd love to get the nicer horses. But I'm a realistic person too. You have to work with what you can get and build on it. So but to answer your question, sweet spot at the moment, 20 be fantastic. Let the stable grow at a reasonable time. A little bit further away than I want it to be in numbers now. At least we're running competitively when we run the horses. And then as the future holds, it'd be great to have enough horses to have in some reach in some other states for sure.
I guess like a question, kind of a thought here is like, is there a certain goal or kind of mark that you're after in terms of like chasing like your first X win or your first time doing this? Like, is there a certain first or goal that you're looking forward to most right now that you're kind of pointed at?
Just improve numbers each season. I'm not hell bent on running horses. Just look at prize money and then sticking them in a race. I want to train winners first. I want to increase the number of winners every season. That's the goal at the moment. Increase the number of winners every season. Be competitive in races that I enter in. Obviously, it's very hard to do that, but that's what I want to do. I want to be known as a guy that can place his horses well. Horses look good. Horses are competitive, and I place my horses well, hopefully, and they win. That's the most important thing at the moment, and hopefully that can attract some better bred horses, some larger owners and investors.
Yeah, 100%. I guess like if you want to like tell us the stories of your first two wins, I noticed they kind of came within like a week of themselves. I think was it last year you won a maiden claimer at Indy with Face Value.
Yeah. I purchased that horse myself at Fezzy Tipton, the February sale. Nice horse. Obviously, the Darley who breed their stock. There's no corners cut. You when they breed horses, they breed good horses. Well, they do their best to breed good horses. We know that they're having the best care, the best upbringing. So anyway, I saw this horse. He'd ran some okay numbers. Obviously, Brendan Walsh had him beforehand. I know that he had no corners cut there either. And they don't run horses in races. As a principal, I believe in Godolphin. So he was that door was open for him. So I purchased him for 20,000, give him some time off, and brought him in and got him going. And then we pointed to a maiden time in 30 in May or June, I believe. He ran well, just needed the race, and then I decided I needed a winner. I hadn't had a winner yet, so I took a plunge and put him down to 12.5 claiming, and he was well able to win that race. So that was a great feeling. We're there in Indiana. It took got a pretty emotional feeling when you have your first winner. It's like back when I had my first winner as a jockey. You're like your emotions are going everywhere. You don't know, either laugh, cry, or do both. That was fantastic. And then I had a couple of horses ready to run at the same time, and thankfully all them horses that I ran over the next couple of weeks, they all ran well. So that was great. That was pretty provocative. She, again, sent to me nice Union Rags mare. big gallop filly. Loved going long, longer the better. Off turf race, Ellis Park. I've been to Ellis Park many times saddling horses. It's a different feeling when you saddle your own horse there. Typical Ellis Park. Thunder showers came through that morning, took it off the grass. Didn't know if the races were going to go. It was very, very dark here. It was raining, thunder, lightning, and then it cleared up, and the track was sealed pretty tight. And thankfully, she prevailed. She just outstayed everybody really that day, and won well. And then the following couple of weeks later, Conor Foley sent us a horse, Commons Challenge from West Paces Racing, the owners of the park owners of Dornoch. Thankfully, they supported us and gave us a filly that was capable of winning a maiden special weight at Belter Park. So that was great. So we got off to a good start, and then obviously this year again the same. We got in touch, Matt, and through Connor. Then we ended up claiming the Thunderer, which was turned out to be a good claim. We got to go to top tier tracks and put him back on dirt and have some good days with him.
I got a couple questions. So, like the Thunder, we got him. He did well. Do you find yourself following the horses after they get claimed?
I do. It's probably not a great thing to do, but any horse that leaves the barn, I always check up on them where they're at, if they're breezing or not. I always look up, if there's avenues for sure that I didn't take that they've taken that has enhanced their career. I'd like to learn off that. Obviously, you always check if they're still in the game or not. Also, see what they're doing. But for sure, I always like to see what our trainers are doing. If they do take an avenue that the horse is improving, I do need to look back and learn on those things also.
And I guess going back to now that you're on your own, you've been doing it for a couple of years. Do you find yourself kind of taking after more of like that micromanage sort of head, or do you kind of leave
Well,
up to creativity?
at the size of the barn I have, it's me. I'm in control of everything. So I have a groom and a hot walker to help me out, so I can get all the horses trained without rushing. But I like to be hands on. I'm a hands on guy. So it's just me anyway. So I'm micromanaging myself basically. I just do everything.
I think being that jockey early on gave you like a unique view versus other trainers that don't have that on the horse sort of view of racing.
Well, I thought that at one point in my career, but then I learned very quickly you can be a very good horseman without ever being a rider also or a jockey. It's a great benefit for me. I think going back to what I said about knowing when the horse is fit without relying on an exercise rider's opinion, I'm able to tell myself, and then obviously wise surface and etc. I'm able to tell that myself without needing a run maybe or running on the wrong surface first.
I guess to kind of like wrap it up, Tom, like really appreciate you telling like the full story of kind of how you got to where you're at now and kind of where things are going. Brian, do you have any more questions? Maybe you just kind of go through like a rapid fire, like just fire a couple questions at you and just give us some quick reactions.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we'll start horse racing stuff, then kind of might trail off.
Yeah.
Favorite track, both, and you go one in America and then maybe one in Europe.
On the par, I cannot separate Teen and Saratoga.
That's fair. All right, favorite racehorse of all time, and like I'm gonna make a caveat that you couldn't have trained or ridden it.
Okay, two horses, Flat and a steeplechase horse that fell in love with during my time as a young guy in Ireland was Isterbrack, who was a steeplechase horse. He just died at 30 years old recently, and the famous sire Galileo.
Oh yeah, gets going. All right, now we're gonna wacky. If your horses that all you've trained can have a walk up song, some of them are like baseball players have their walk up song. What would that song be?
Got me on that one, Matt. What's a good walkout song? Thunder, I guess.
Thunderstruck would have been perfect for that horse.
Thunder, I guess. You go with that one.
All right, good enough. All right, get a little more serious now. Any quotes that you live by or you think of often?
Acta non verbe is a Latin actions, not words. Like that one.
And then last one would be, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Do not spend as much time in one place. If you have a dream of becoming a jockey, a horse trainer, if you feel like you need to spend your experience and you feel like you're in a not the right place, do not be afraid to move. The world will go on without you. It will go on without you, but it's up to yourself to put yourself in the right place.
Brian, any other questions you got?
Yeah, the only other one that I thought was a little interesting is you mentioned placing horses a lot. Is there like an art or a strategy, or what's the
I,
past surface level on that?
I believe it's something that anyone will improve on the longer you train, and it's something that it's an art form that will just hopefully improve. You go by uh, uh, certain horses need certain tracks, certain distances. I think it's just trial and error a lot. Yeah.
Anything else, Brian?
Yeah, the only other thing that I thought, or this could be an interesting view from your point of view, do you think you learn more under the micromanaging sort of regime or the looser, let you figure out on your own?
Micromanaging, because you do not want to go back and have to redo multiple that could be bandages or certain routines the horses are on. There's a very short window, and things need to be done correctly. They are animals. They need help. They don't fend themselves. We need to look after them. So you have to micromanage people until they fall into your routine to a point. Micromanage is not a great word, but it has to be. You have to come across in,
More
in a way that
regimented at first.
you got to point them in the right direction from the start, because you let not everyone's going to the same thing or things like that, but you put them in the right path and then back off. Jim Bulger is renowned for being a hard taskmaster, but you go through your levels too, and then you grow up, you put your socks up, and you jump into the groove. So I believe that you have to point everyone in the right direction, the direction that you want your stable to run by. So as long as it's your stable, you have the possibility to grow somebody else to take over and go on to their own thing. That's great. Outside that's it's up to themselves what they do. But once it's under your banner, it's very much important that things are done correctly and in the best interest of the horse.
Yeah, that's all I really had. This is the only other thing, kind of off topic, is I'll be back in Nashville next week.
Nice.
I might swing up for a day.
Yeah, you're not too far away. Up and see us. We've had a pretty nice week so far, weather-wise. So it's pretty here, but
Yeah. So I was just
and then
wondering if you wouldn't mind if I was just a fly on the wall for a morning.
come hang out and see how we do it.
I hope he's knowing as me as I am, Tom. So there's that.
But Matt's been at the bar enough that he can run the bar now. So if I'm going out of town, I think I'm going to get
I
Matt.
think I think the barn would be in shambles now if that was the case. You could ask Esther how good I was on the ground there.
Oh yeah. I forget about your experiences. Yeah, Ocala.
All right, Tom. I really appreciate you hopping on.